Awesome. We're all here, so all of our speakers are here. I'll do a quick intro and then we'll get underway. So this is Waypoint Web3. This is a Twitter Spaces dedicated to all things Web3 gaming, co-produced by Sanctor Capital and United Gamers. My name's Ilya. I'm your host, and I am also co-founder and partner at Sanctor Capital. We back and invest in early stage projects in the crypto space, specifically in the metaverse and gaming space. I have to go get through kind of a host of disclosures, so bear with me. Everything I will be saying is not financial legal advice. All of the opinions are my own, and I may be mentioning assets and/or companies in which we have invested, are invested, or are considering investing. For full disclosure, we are backing United Gamers and Remark. So I think that should cover it. Also, this session is being recorded, and you will be able to listen to the recording later on. We will post it out as well. But now that now the official part is over, I'm happy to get into our actual topic. Today we'll be talking about MMORPGs. I'm myself a huge fan of the genre, and we have some awesome speakers, and I'm excited to introduce them. Speakers, I'll call on you. Just tell a little, say your name, tell a little bit about yourself, and we'll go around in a circle. So first on my screen is Myrtle. So yeah, introduce yourself, please.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Eldarun.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Tarık. I'm the main developer of the game Eldarun. I'm in the game industry over 12 years. So I started with simulations for military and army, for European Union and NATO. Then I started to jump to the mobile games. I worked on some mobile games. Then I started to make my own game. Then when I released it on Steam on early access, there was no problem. But before the full release, they decided to not let people to publish um, blockchain games. So I started to looking for some more people to get into blockchain economy. So I'm here.
That is impressive background. You did interrupt Myrtle, so I will go back to Myrtle. And Myrtle, please introduce yourself.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I would love to listen about their experience. So hi guys, I am Myrtle. I'm
Hello.
actually yes. Hello. I'm actually a gamer and streamer as well. And one of my histories back in gaming actually roots back to really MMORPG gaming, and I used to be like the number one guild leader here in the Philippines for a popular MMORPG game called Ragnarok, and even ranked 10. And then later on, because of that, I went into a lot of competitive gaming, and right now I'm actually like a streamer for various games from Blizzard, as well as other games like Axie. And for MMORPG games in the blockchain, I was in the commercial for Mirror 4, which is quite a popular MMORPG NFT game here in the Philippines that is actually based from the developers are actually based from Korea. So I'm pretty excited to share about my experience in blockchain gaming here.
Awesome, thank you. Bruno, please go next.
Yep, hello. My name is Bruno. I founded Remark, which is the only set of drop-in replacement NFT 2.0 standards for ERC 721 and ERC 1155 that allow for the creation of a decentralized metaverse. We are building the next generation NFT infrastructure. Well, we've built it, and we've now created this new project called CypherMod for like an SDK for this, so that anybody can very easily use this to build new experiences for existing and new metaverses. So kind of hooks into existing MMORPGs and builds new ones very, very easily.
Awesome, thank you. And Johnny, last but not least.
Hey everyone, nice to see you. Actually, so many beautiful speakers. I'm Johnny, I'm the CEO of Crossverse. So we are creating the cross-metaverse play-to-earn gaming experience. So I myself, as a builder, I've been doing software projects and blockchain projects already like for 12 years, and so exciting and to see how the gaming merges into the blockchain at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see people are already raising their hands. Audience questions, I would like to hold until about 15 minutes before the end of the hour, and then hold your questions, write them down, and then we'll open it up to the audience after the speakers had their chance to kind of talk through their thoughts. Everybody's kind of introduced a little bit about kind of their experience with Web3 gaming, so I want to skip that question that I usually start with and go straight into MMORPG. Before we get into the Web3 stuff, what in general makes for a good MMORPG game? And anybody can go in any order. Feel free to just share your thoughts.
Well, for me, a great MMORPG would be one that has like a lot of social aspects, because I've played multiple games for years. Like one MMORPG game called Ragnarok, which I played for almost 4 years. And what really kept me playing the game was the social aspect. So one of the most important things about playing an MMORPG is having friends into the game, having like a party, a squad, having a guild or a clan, and doing things daily and not getting bored of it, because sometimes it becomes very repetitive. But what makes it really exciting is having those adventures with multiple people. And of course, another thing would be amazing graphics as well, and storyline, because what makes an MMORPG is really the feeling of that open world where you're exploring something that's beyond real life. And that's what I really think sets it apart from RPG games. That feeling that you can explore and go anywhere at any time.
I think it's ownership of experience, which is not something any game out there has right now, which is why it's a core focus for us. Typically, like even right now, every metaverse game out there is just a multiplayer game that replaced usernames and passwords with reading an NFT balance, and these NFTs are typically static, just JPEGs or 3D models that don't actually do anything. They're just embedded permissions in the client, and when those clients go down, your experiences go down with them. You don't actually have this sense of progression because your progress is saved on a server. So you need better standards that can evolve with you in a decentralized way without a centralized custodian of that experience. So apart from just the diversity of social communication, making it interesting, like Myrtle said, like that is a super crucial part to make something that is designed to last forever actually fun. But then once you've had your fun, you really want to have that experience with you. You want to be able to take it with you. You don't want to lose it as the game goes down, as an outage happens, or just a team runs out of money and closes it down. So ownership of experience is, I think, a crucial part of MMORPGs on Web3.
It's like a step forward for Web3. So if we're talking about the old one, I played many games. I actually love playing games. Essential part of my life. I like the interesting gameplay. So in this case, I would say the amount of quests I would see in the game that I can go to, and the approach is like unlimited. It's one when you have a free world which is big enough, so you can see it's endless. So you never get bored. Like next day you discover something more and more and more. So this endless possibilities gives you the quests that you can see. If I would pick a game like a one, I would compare it like GTA, where you can when everything is fun, when you see that the other players are interacting as well, and there is a many of them, and I have we have a huge experience in Decentraland and seeing how it evolves. And I really missing like these quests, and even when we have these events when the many people are joining, and we have like distribution of like part of the participation pops coming up, that's not that's something I will literally interact with the other people or quests are fun. Just like missing this key element of the gameplay. It's like the fun part is for the Web3. I can see that is missing right now if we're going forward to this topic.
I want to follow up on something Bruno said, right? He said ownership of experience, right? And so, typically when we talk about Web3, we talk about ownership of assets. And so I'm curious, what does everybody think about, like, how do you own an experience? And what does that mean in the context of kind of an open world?
Well, since we since we focus on it a lot, I can dive in a little deeper here. With Remark NFT standards, you have the ability to put NFTs inside other NFTs. Any NFT based on Remark into any other NFT based on Remark doesn't have to be specifically whitelisted, and those NFTs can be non-transferable. So you can mint into somebody else's NFT a non-transferable NFTs, which is kind of like Soulbound 2.0, which allows you to do a lot of really interesting things. Your avatar can have an NFT brain that has skill slots, and you can have non-transferable NFTs that are skills that you collect while you play. And as you play, you collect these things that go into your avatar, so your avatar grows with you. But these skills are NFTs that you can then equip into these skill slots. And as you level up, since we have this concept called multi-resource NFTs that can evolve over time, you can actually also level up in a fully decentralized way, and your character gets a new NFT brain, basically, with more skill slots over time. Every experience point you earn gets added to your avatar as a non-transferable NFT itself, and you can then burn those to, again, level up your character. Your experience goes with your avatar, with your character, and you build up one entity that you own and that you can take with you outside of the game into any other game that recognizes this according to this standard. So this is what I mean by ownership of experience. Everything you've accomplished with that character basically comes with you in a fully decentralized and scalable way, without relying on centralized intermediaries, which has the extra cool benefit of not needing a backend at all for a game. So you don't need a server where you store all of this information. It's all in your NFT itself. Of course, your NFT avatar also holds your assets that you mentioned. So if you get a sword, you also put that into your NFT and your NFT's inventory, and can take it out and everything else. But I think the non-transferable asset as part of a transferable NFT, so a skill inside of an avatar that you can transfer around, is a really interesting concept that far too few games are exploring. And I think this is the future of gaming in Web3.
I completely agree with that. So, um, when I was playing MMORPG games before in Web2, it was quite frustrating that, right after you play the game, our account can't be sold in such a way that you can sell it in a marketplace or something. And what really amazed me about getting into blockchain games, MMORPG specifically in the blockchain, was I had an account here in Mir 4 that even hit to a value of almost half a million pesos just because of the items and equipment of my character. And it made me realize that, our time here in the games that we play is so much time spent that at least through blockchain gaming, we actually put more values into our own avatar, into our own account. The time that we spend in there, we can start monetizing the in-game currencies that we play inside the game, and you just open up a world of opportunities here in MMORPG games that previously wasn't really an option, because before it was through black markets of the game, and it would be an agreement between people. But when the game ends, you don't or when the game ends, you don't really know how to monetize those assets of yours, which you actually spend a lot of time and money in. But through Web3, there's so much opportunities for everyone to monetize their skills and at the same time put actual value into their characters into the blockchain.
That's right. And also, like, you have to kind of be aware of the fact that every time you log out in such an environment with advanced enough standard, you kind of log out with a slightly more valuable NFT every time. And through that, NFTs kind of become generational wealth, so that I can, in 30 years, I can give, my grandchild or something, my Fortnite character from 50 years ago, and let him own everybody in Fortnite 73, using the assets and experience that I've collected when I was a youngster.
For me, it would be perfect if we'll have like advanced in the different gaming. It's like I would have the same NFT character, and then like okay, this game is not fun anymore. I would go to another one and play, but will save my character with all the experiences, and level ups, and I continue playing in the other like metaverse, let's call it, with the same skill set. So I'm not losing like basically my skills that I developed. I continue growing it. That's the part, like how we see it in life. It's like you work in one company, you develop your skill set, you go and work in another one. So I would expect from Web3 gaming do the same way.
So before we dive into the kind of the meat of interoperability in that, because I feel like that opens up a whole other conversation, I want to backtrack to something Myrtle said earlier, that a lot of what MMORPGs are about is a social experience, right? And that kind of parallels very nicely with social networks. And we know for them that you need a critical mass of users or a critical number of users before network effects start taking place, and they start to, the network starts to grow and generate value and become meaningful to its users. What is that process like for MMORPGs, and specifically for MMORPGs in Web3? What should the game developers be thinking about? And we have some game developers here, right? What are you thinking about, with respects to kind of creating that social network effect for your community?
We have a transformation plan for it. First of all, we have finished our game. We have 21 islands with different climates. So we tested it on Steam first. Then we have started to make a plan. Because as you told, there should be a community before you call it an MMORPG, which means we should make uh, a map to complete. So there will be a campaign mode which looks like Witcher, and it's already 4K with AAA graphics, and it's already playable in our own testnet. We have finished our subnet, and we are making invited players and investors to test it in there. So this is the campaign mode. The second mode is dungeon. In dungeon, there are more than one character. The first game looks like a little Witcher. There's one character called a protagonist, already has a story, but later the characters you gain in the single player mode, you're going to get your dungeon characters. With them, you are playing the dungeon part for grinding. Then clan boss comes. For this place, before the MMORPG, we made a clan system so people can attack the same boss together. If clan boss dies, they gain huge bonuses on it. And the last part, which is not finished, which is we are working and making some development on it, is a PvP part, because we want to have an RVR, realm versus realm size PvP, which means it's going to be the backbone of the both economy and the free market, competition and socializing with the other players. So on September, this part will finish. Then we will return to the campaign mode. It will always stay as a single game because our game is hard. So it requires education. But the dungeon part is going to be together grindable. Imagine you are playing a dungeon together with your friends, a little more Diablo style.
I would be another one as a game developer here. So what we are building is a sort of social effect when you connect it with your character, your pet. So we're building it on the top of Decentraland first. When you have your smart wearable, and that you and a community of people that wearing the same thing will see only when you explore the Decentraland. We call it a hypo. The something that it's a creature, a robotic creature that goes always with you and gives you direction of like where exactly you can go in Decentraland and explore your gameplay. So to support the cross metaverse bridges, when you can teleport from one metaverse to another one, you need to be able to charge specific locations. So this specific locations is actually the places where the some brands and offices in Decentraland exist. It's like a representation of the world. So your hyper is just giving you directions where to go, what kind of gameplay to have, and you just interact with them and exploring. And the same way the others, like the explorers of the metaverse, are around you and also going with you, and getting the loot all over the places. And of course, you upgrade your hyper, you go with it with different parameters and stuff. So then we connect all the stories together. So you have the ability to to explore different metaverses and support the gameplay. Yeah, that's social effect we use in our game.
Very cool. What we have with Skybridge, with our metaverse, which is basically just designed as a proof of concept of these NFT 2.0s, is full community governance. It's self-enacting, and because of the nested infrastructure of NFTs, the world is an NFT, which is turned into a DAO. The world contains land plots, which are NFTs. Land plots contain buildings, which are NFTs. Buildings contain avatars that are NFTs. Avatars contain, jackets and backpacks that are NFTs, which can contain other NFTs. And because the entire world is basically an NFT that you can turn into a DAO, because of the DAO as an NFT Lego piece of our standards. Everybody who holds a certain NFT has the ability to govern the world, but governing this world is not just an off-chain vote like in typical DAOs, where you still rely on the team to implement this if you vote for it. Instead, it's very much auto-enacting, because all the assets are on-chain, so the community can decide to change anything, from something trivial like the texture of a blade of grass, because the textures are in the NFTs themselves, to destroying an entire skyland or a level, or putting in new avatars and new assets and new skills, new recipes, and major world changes. So this is our kind of community effect here, and this is an experiment that we really want to run, and we're fully aware that it might go incredibly wrong with just giving the community full reign over it. But it can also evolve into a utopia, and we'll play alongside everybody else, see where it goes.
Amazing. I like the concept very much. It's like when we do it in the object-oriented programming, when we have the inheritance effect. So,
it's exactly that. Yeah.
I'm curious to kind of dig a little deeper here. Effectively, we're talking about kind of user-generated storylines, user-generated content. How important it is with respects to MMORPG. We see, FPS and RPG MOBAs trying to kind of play around with it. But where do you see kind of user input and user-generated content take its place in the context of MMORPG worlds?
Well, in our case, it's very much at the core, because it's going to be voted in by the NFT holders into the world, and so anything that people come up with can be canonized into the world itself. We also have this, like I mentioned, the CypherMod SDK that's designed specifically for user-generated content for existing metaverses, but also to launch your own new ones. But if you just want to build something on a plot in Sandbox, you just fire up CypherMod, and you're spared from all the boilerplate, and you can focus right on the content, right on the game mechanics of what you're building. So for us, it's very, very important for people to be able to evolve this with their own content. Otherwise, it'll just go stale very quickly. And so, like Myrtle said in the beginning, you need that social effect, and the social effect comes in a very large part from the community being able to impress each other, to everybody being able to surprise each other, and to constantly make things interesting for one another. And you can't do that by putting everybody on rails.
What we have figured out that even if we build something incredible, like a headquarters in in Decentraland for some company. Like, yeah, this beautiful building, and you can see inside like many showcases of everything. But in the reality, nobody knows that it's here. It's like the metaverse is so huge. So this is why we doing this. The experience, the gameplay when you create some sort of quest. So we have idea of how to crowdsource it, how the people will be able to do their own quests, and saying like, okay, this is the way, this is the path you need to explore. So there, one of the things that we have in our gameplay is a teleport mode, when you can jump into the like different locations when you enter this teleport, and then you kind of need to make a walk. So this walk is exactly the places where you can teleport, and how you're walking into metaverse. That's the others that can crowdsource as well, like create this incredible gameplay. So that people creating quests for other people, but in the metaverse. So that's the one that I believe that will create the social effect.
So I've actually played Mirror 4 quite heavily, which is also a MMORPG in the blockchain. And what I really loved about what they did for the players is that, they incentivize everything that you do together as a group. Like, for example, back in the day when you do like in World of like in WoW, if you guys do like alliance versus horde, but this time around it's with your clans. You guys can battle against your clans, and then if you guys win the war, they'll give you like uh they will award you with some tokens into the game, which incentivizes the social activity together with the players. And I completely agree with the points given that this time around, when you guys actually own NFTs here into the game, you're a part owner of the game. So I actually invested into MetaGods, which is also a action RPG game. And what I loved is that since you're owner of land, or if you're owners of multiple characters, if you start a guild into the game, they would get your opinion. And this is where it's really building that huge difference between Web 2 and Web 3. In Web 2, you would always, be determined by how the developers work on their game, how the game decides on what's linear, what's going to go next, what's the next release. But here in Web 3, the players are part owners of the game, and it gives them this opportunity, this amazing opportunity to decide what the future with the game would be, so that, the game continues going for the players and not just for the developers. And I love that part about Web3 gaming. And I want to say hi to RJ from UG DAO. I think he's listening, and to the listeners here. Thanks, guys, for joining in.
Awesome. I wanna continue kind of diving into this part of it. You know, how do then we transition? We have a lot of these really exciting worlds in kind of the Web2 paradigm, right? Everything from RuneScape to WoW to there's a whole host of them, right? And then we have a whole host of kind of new like Web3 native world being built. But we need to settle them in some way, right? I often say that the metaverse is kind of a frontier that we got to be settling. So how do you get users to come settle this world, to populate it, to kind of explore and kind of help it grow?
Um, I guess it depends on who you want to get in, who you want to onboard next. If it's gamers, then the current approach is good. They will adapt to almost everything. If anybody can learn to play any game, it's gamers who are used to just generally surmounting obstacles. But if it's the next billion users you want to onboard, then I would argue that all of the metaverses today are running in the wrong direction with their 3D high fidelity environments, where they expect people to sit down behind a computer and navigate in WASD and mouse controls. I think that's the wrong approach, and not exactly doesn't lend itself well to the next billion users. This is why we're focusing on hyper casual gaming. This is why we're focusing on something that you can fire up, while waiting for a bus, and still log out with a slightly more valuable NFT when you're done. This is why we are abstracting away any transaction signing, any password signing, any wallet nonsense whatsoever, but in a still non-custodial way. And this is why I think we should focus on just generally avoiding any kind of terminology in terms of Web3 and NFT in general. You deliver a good game, you deliver something pleasant, and you give people the ability to modify that and to socially collaborate on that one environment. And then later on, you just ninja in, like, hey guys, did you know that you also own everything you've done? And that's how you get them on board. You don't get them on board with here, join my 3D MMORPG metaverse, where you have a bunch of NFTs. Just install MetaMask and then pick a safe password. By the way, you're your own bank, and don't click links in Discord. I don't think that's the way to go.
Bruno underlined a very important part. That's why we added to our dungeon part autoplay mode. So people, when they are at work or when they are bored to grind the same dungeons, they will be able to play their game as in idle mode with their telephones and other portable devices. That's a very important part. I agree totally. I quit MMORPG gaming. Of course, I was younger. I'm now 42, and I played Ragnarok a lot. I loved it very much, but it was a heavy Korean grind game. It was fun. It was so much fun. Social part was more than great. And in Europe, in Westworld, people don't know, but before World of Warcraft in South Korea, there was Ragnarok, and they really rocked the gameplay part of the MMOs. Content wasn't so much comparing to new generations, but the things you are able to do with simple upgradings was amazing, and it was a very funny game at the same time. People were grinding for some cards and putting some poo-poo hats on their heads. It was very funny. So I think this thing was showed. This game showed. Maybe not to take ourselves seriously, and instead listening to the for the content, the social part of the game, which means players. So we are going to listen in the Discord our players, and we are going to ask our clans to build up the best quest for that month. So I think it's going to be fun in that way.
So, I actually have an answer to that, but before I answer, I just want to say hi to the head of TikTok gaming here in the Philippines, John, who's listening to us. So, speaking of how to really grow an entire game, an entire community, which is actually for me the heart and soul of an MMORPG, I really believe it's, through having your players have fun into the game. So, I think quite a lot of the blockchain games right now is missing that basis of having a really good game, and then that game, people would have the word of mouth about it, and that's how it would actually grow. Because last year when I started streaming a blockchain game called Mir 4, when it started, there was not much people actually learning about it. Same with Axie previously. But when people saw how the game is, how fun it is, how it's actually quite developed, I grew from a few thousand to even actually my most viewed stream, which is like a 14,000 viewership. And it was because of the social aspect of the game where everyone is like, hey, let's join the same server, let me join your guild. um Everyone was like, yeah, let's battle the boss together, and it just started this entire journey of people wanting to play together, which is what inspires people to actually play the game in the first place, because they're looking for someone or something that would motivate them to have fun together. So I think the most important part about having this community, growing a community, is making sure that your community is really happy.
For me, the key element is it's the simplicity that we can use when we connect it to blockchain, because that the MetaMask, when the technicians are doing products, like, yeah, of course they try to think of the usability, but the experience is there from like the technical geeks that doing these products in the first place, and of course they think less about uh, how can it be hackable and things like that. But I imagine that it would be more and more product how you store your value, how you store your avatars, so that the real wallets that would be like on your mobile devices, they will evolve and be simple, be more usable, so you can really like go and other people can, you know, they're not so technically advanced, can use it in a like efficient and easy way without like phishing and all this stuff that is happening right now. So I believe that the wallet itself need to be involved. Like, how do we do it with the blockchain? How do we interact with the blockchain? And going forward with the speed, you know, like how do sometimes you have to, like in the games, like let's call it step on Solana, when you like can wait forever for your transaction to happen. For, you know, for new users, it's not so fun. They're like, okay, I earned this money, or I have this expensive sneakers. How do I like, and my transaction are stacking. That there's like so bad user experience in that place. So we are, you know, we need to develop the infrastructure as well to have support the funny part of the game and, you know, like social effect. But I totally agree, the game need to be interesting. That's in the first place.
I'm curious about something Bruno said. If we're trying to onboard gamers, we're going down the right path. If we're trying to onboard the next billion users, then not so much. But this is MMORPG, right? This is a game genre. Do you think that through MMORPGs we can onboard kind of the broader public?
Absolutely, if presented right. The biggest driver in just adoption in general today is just community engagement. There's a reason why like Minecraft is so popular today, because it encourages people to create really cool things together with friends. And if you translate that over to any game, 3D, 2D, whatever D, it'll work with onboarding the next billion users if you make it approachable enough. So if you have some environment where the complexity is optional, but the customizability is available to everybody, this is, I think, a winning recipe. So that people who log in and are super mega hyper casual, they can just have an online hub or hotel experience and hang out with people and chat with people and have proximity voice chat and just dance around and do nothing really. But at the same time, that exact same environment should support user created stories, user created quests, user created buildings, user created content in general, so that it's made interesting and so that it drives this community based engagement where you know, people riff of each other and people build awesome things together and experience things together, and then own that experience so they can tell other people about it. Not just tell, but also show other people that have had these experiences. So yeah, I think MMORPGs are a very nice Trojan horse for the next billion users.
So then this is a question to everybody, right? And we kind of touched about it a little bit with respect to wallets and sort of kind of hiding blockchain a little bit. But what tooling is currently missing for Web3 MMORPGs?
Account abstraction, wallet abstraction in general, so that you can, you know, what we're working on, for example, is when you're moving around in our metaverse and generally everything we built, there's this layer of implied cheat protection, because if you have an avatar, like right now, if I log into 1,000 different sandboxes with the same avatar, nothing's going to stop me. And if I sell that NFT while I'm playing with it, nothing's going to stop me. This is because there's no digital scarcity embedded in the protocol itself. It's all just client side, server side, their own implementation. But with our standards, what you have is, if you have an avatar and you have an NFT plot of land, to be in that plot of land with that avatar, you literally send that avatar into the plot of land. So it cannot be anywhere else. So on the consensus level, your avatar is by definition bound to that one location. You can't play it in multiple other plots at the same time. So with this, you kind of end up with this really interesting concept of true digital scarcity that you can just apply to anything from accessories to everything else. And wait a minute, I lost my train of thought. What was the original question? Sorry.
I was just saying what tooling is missing for MMORPGs Web3.
The wallet, right. So the wallet abstraction here is very, very, very much needed, because in order to move your avatar from one land to the other, you would technically have to sign a transaction, right? Well, not if you generate some sort of a session key that is stored locally, like a proxy account for that main account that holds your NFTs. You set up a proxy account that has a permission just for moving, and so then it has like this auto-sign capability for moving transactions that can be issued by the client itself automatically without ever bothering you with the password. But if that key leaks or if you lose it, nothing bad happens. The only thing that somebody else can do is move your. They can just dive in, skip the boilerplate, and focus on the story, on the interactions, on the characters, and everything else that actually makes the game fun. Without,
I would say that it's important to have the more extended standards. Standards in the way how the NFT is described. So currently we have like, okay, it's a technicians that's first they created ERC20 and then they say, okay, then let's be not fungible, and then it goes that way. And basically when we go and interact with guilds and see that there is a huge problem for ownership of the gaming asset itself, and then when you delegate to manage this asset to someone else, like the $2 million ship, for example, in a Star Atlas, you want to use it for someone else would be using it. And basically you cannot give your private keys to someone else. Like we can see across the games there is how the people are solving this issues with the different tooling, like in Axie Infinity as well. There is different tools to do that, and I believe that it need to be solved on a blockchain level when we have in the NFT standard in the smart contract itself these unique possibilities. As the Bruno said, he actually touched it really well. Like somebody owns it, but the other people are doing the different things like movement, or they basically manage it. So and they're doing the gaming experience, but in a different level. Someone can work with the treasury, like collecting things and move them around. Someone just do the crafting part of it, and you have this different permissions in the way, like how you can interact or give other people to interact, because digital ownership gives this freedom, but at the same time we need to somehow limit it in the level of the game. So I believe this is an important tool on the infrastructure level that we need to solve.
Well, I have some good news for you then, and we should talk after the space.
Beautiful.
That's what you like to hear on a Web3 gaming talk. We do have about 10 minutes left of our talk, and so if anybody in the audience would like to ask our speakers a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll call you up. Myrtle, I think earlier, especially when you're talking about MIR4, you mentioned kind of the economic component of it and how you were monetizing your time. We talked about ownership of experience, ownership of assets. Are we actually monetizing time at this point?
Yeah, because what I found really interesting about MIR4 and even other blockchain games is that your time spent in the game is actually, you guys can actually earn through it as well. So I think quite a lot of our listeners here have tried a blockchain game, one way or another. So I remember that, I was putting my character into multiple hours of mining into the game, and we were actually earning. And then I actually got lucky with getting equipments and items into the game that just times two the value of my character, which would never happen in a normal game. But because the game is in the blockchain and quite a lot of people really want specific items inside the game, they would trade you so much to get those items. And that's what I loved about that entire experience playing Mirror 4 and blockchain games, is that the items that you have actually have value. They're actually these assets that's encrypted, and if you don't want it, someone else might want it. If, for example, my mage got an equipment of an assassin, you guys can trade it to someone else and get value of your time and your energy and your effort spent into the game. And I loved it. That's why I'm always excited for what's next in the future of gaming, because suddenly there's so many doors and doors of opportunities for us gamers to, make the most of our time that was never really an option for us. Previously, only people in esports were the ones that could monetize their skills in gaming. Streamers can monetize their skills in gaming, but in blockchain games, everyone, anything that you farm into the game could be sellable, and even the tokens inside the game is sellable. So that's what I found really amazing.
Awesome. We actually had our first question, Walter M, I believe, but I think he lowered his hand. If you do want to ask a question, this would be a good time.
Yeah, and I want to reward people who ask questions. I'll draw some SLPs to people who ask questions. Because I actually tweeted to some of the peeps that if they ask us questions, I could drop them some SLPs or something. Feel free to ask away.
This was not planned, by the way. This is a complete surprise to me.
Yeah, this is me encouraging people to start talking in this space and not be scared of speaking.
So yeah, feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, yeah, towards the closing part of the talk, I always like to ask the speakers about what they're looking forward towards in the coming months. And so yeah, as we're waiting for questions, it'd be nice if everybody kind of just, oh, we have our first question. So here we go. Please introduce yourself and ask away. Yep.
Great.
Yeah, hi Mike.
Hey, Myrtle. Hey. Hey, thanks for having me up on stage. Great insights from all of you guys. Earlier in the talk, Myrtle said something that kind of struck me as interesting. The game continues for the players, not just the developers. Myrtle, could you expand on what you meant by that?
Yes, so thanks, Mike. I actually admire Mike because he's like one of the pioneers here in the pop culture space in the Philippines. Thanks again, Mike, for joining us here. So, what I meant by that is that normally in Web2 games, we're actually dictated by the timeline, the quest line that is given to us by the how the developers develop the game. But here in Web3, the developers or the players can actually own assets into the game, and they're a part of the entire space that could give and decide into the game. So let me just specifically give Metagods as an example. So Metagods, basically, if you played Ragnarok, what I love about what Metagods did is that in Ragnarok before, you go through the Eternal Tower level, floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. Here, players can own each floor of the dungeon. They can adjust the difficulty, and from there, both the owner of the dungeon and the player can earn into the game. And I found that very interesting, so that it incentivizes people to own the dungeons and manage it. At the same time, the players who go through the dungeons, when they kill the bosses, they earn from it as well. And I found it really interesting because this time around, you won't be caged into what's just written by what the developers originally said. But this time around, as players, you can own part of the game and develop the game together with the entire team. So that's what I love about it. And thanks, Mike, for joining us here.
Awesome. Thank
My
you for the
pleasure.
question. Thank you for the question, Mike. Thank you for the answer, Myrtle. We have another question. Josh, I see you bringing you up on stage. Yep, we hear you.
Some people. First, let me introduce myself real quick. I go with the name of Josh Reeds in the crypto space. I own a couple of crypto, and I have a question for you guys. And I think this is going to be a controversial question, so bear with me. Once metaverse, once NFT gaming becomes the norm for gaming, once it goes mainstream, how do you guys think the government will react to the new income, to the new influx of currency?
That is why decentralizing the infrastructure you're building on is very important. That is why we are focusing on entirely Web3 based and decentralized metaverses, which is something that nobody seems to care about right now, as everybody's running on AWS. You need to be able to do this anon and fully Web3. This is why also Skybreach itself will be a fully community-run thing and not have a single team behind it, which people can chase down. One of the early indications of how this is all going to play out is already the loot box legislation that is very popular.
Yeah, it just happened, right? It just happened in
so,
Europe.
Yeah. Right. It's all over the place. Like, people are just using it as an excuse to clamp down on, I mean, yeah, legitimately, it's gambling, but there are areas in every city where you're allowed to just walk in and gamble away your life. I don't understand why they don't treat those with
you
equal
can't do the same with games. Yeah.
So the only way ahead, the only way for these games to actually survive long term, is to be immune, to be censorship and downtime resistant. And you can't do this with a lot of the tech out there. There's also the added problem that these games will vampire attack each other for players. So they will already be on very shaky terrain as their servers become too expensive to maintain, as players leave for other games that shower them with tokens and whatnot. So it's going to be a very precarious situation, and there's only going to be a few winners in this race. But, I think most of us are aware of the right steps to take. Just everybody right now is in a rush to kind of ship first and doing some very unhealthy compromises.
Yeah, that's true. I agree in that, because previously this year and that around Q4 last year, there was a big influx of new NFT games. Not just NFT games, just anything NFT in general. Right.
Awesome.
And I appreciate the response, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for the question, and Bruno, thank you for the answer. We do have a couple of minutes left, and I don't see any questions. We have one more question. That is the last question. It's going to take over a regular slot for looking forward things. But Surab, I'm going to call you up.
I was asking, like, where is this project minted on Ethereum or Solana chain?
Which project are you referring to? And I think we got some technical difficulties here. Okay. This was a really exciting session. We actually have 1 minute left. I'm actually going to try it. I'm going to run around the circle and everybody say one thing they're excited about in the coming 3 to 6 months. Myrtle, let's start with you again, like we started in the beginning. And one thing you're excited about for MMORPGs.
One thing that I'm excited about MMORPG games in the blockchain is this tough one. Starting my own guild. Maybe we could monetize guilds here.
You're always welcome to Elder. Please come to our testnet. We would like to send you an invitation. You can download and test the game. And if you like, you can continue. At least you can see the game, how it developed. Also, you can write us your ideas, what kind of game you would like to see. So we can add those things, at least one of them, at least you may be one of the characters. They are 4K and very like human-like beings. So maybe you can be one of the quest givers.
Wow, that sounds so interesting. Thank you so much, Elderun. I appreciate this. I'll check you guys out after this space. And I invite everyone, even all our listeners as well.
We will be waiting. Thank you so much.
Always exciting to hear speakers kind of meet each other and find synergies. Bruno, what's one thing you're excited about?
Global item economy, basically cross-collection, cross-chain compatible NFTs that work across the board, which is something that we've built and are trying to push forward into other ecosystems now. I think that's the next wave of the empowered creator economy, and that will drive more content for every single metaverse out there, not just one. So this is something that I'm super stoked about. And in fact, my Twitter avatar is one such NFT. It's a composable PFP of different parts that you can trade separately. So again, nested NFTs. Check out the links in my bio if you want to learn more, or just go to docs.rmrk.app and yeah, hit me up. I'll be happy to talk to you more.
Awesome. Eldarun, one thing you're excited for MMORPGs?
I spent all my life when I was gaming in MMORPGs in my fun time, of course. So I wish I was able to trade what I have. And so that social carrot could be changed into monetizing. So maybe I was in one of those games. So this is our plan. Play to invest.
Interesting. Johnny, one thing you're excited for?
First of all, I'm really excited to try, like all these games that I know right now, and these different nested NFTs, and of course, join the guild of Myrtle is like, oh yeah, that's what I love. And what I would like to, like to see in the future is like how the communities are growing, how this people are trying these new things, how the new games coming up, and how the interoperability in place. So I really want to see this involved. I want to see that how the people are happy and using, this amazing product that we are building. So that's what I'm excited about. People.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. That takes us to the top of the hour. I want to thank everybody who showed up. Speakers, thank you so much for all the insightful comments you made and all the insightful thoughts. All of the audience, thank you everybody who showed up. Thank you everybody who asked questions. It's always great to get some questions. As I mentioned, the recording will be posted later on for you to kind of go back if you want to re-listen to something. And come back next week. Next week we'll be talking about the financial tooling around Web3 gaming. We'll be talking about GameFi. And so yeah, don't miss it. Join us. This is a weekly thing every Monday. We're happy to have you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.